Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the idea of graphing two variable inequalities. So this is going to be kind of a combination of graphing linear equations and graphing inequalities, which we did last semester. So go ahead and follow along with your notes. When graphing two variable inequalities, graph the line as you would graph a linear equation. So the very basics of the graphing are the same. Remember, you may need to convert the inequalities into slope, intercept form. So remember that's like y equals mx plus b. And recall when dividing or multiplying by a negative number, the inequality switches. Okay? So for example, if we have negative 2x is greater than 8, I divide by negative 2 to solve for x. So that means x is now less than, because I divided by a negative number, negative 4. Okay? That's going to be necessary for us to know for today. Okay, then follow the rules according to the following table. So, this symbol right here is a greater than symbol. This is a less than symbol. This is greater than or equal to, and this is less than or equal to. Okay? So now, the first thing that you're going to think about when you're graphing inequalities is whether the line is going to be dotted. Sorry, let's make a little dotted line, or a solid line. Okay? So, for greater than and for less than, for both of those, the line is going to be dotted. So it'll look something like that. Okay, now for greater than or equal to and less than or equal to, the line is going to be solid. So when you graph the line, it'll look like that. Okay. Now the other piece of this is you want to know whether you're going to shade above the line or below the line, whether you're going to shade lower or higher. So if it's a greater than symbol, then you're going to shade higher than the line. If it's a less than symbol, you're going to shade lower than the line. Greater than or equal to, you're going to shade higher. And finally, less than or equal to, you're going to shade lower. Okay, let's make sure to get this down, and then let's start working on some examples. So, if we're looking at example 1, it says y is less than negative 3x plus 1. So my first step is I'm going to graph this line just like I would graph any other line. So I start at the y-intercept, so that's at positive 1. And then I use my slope, which is negative 3 over 1. So I'm going to go down 3 spaces and to the right 1 space. Down 3 spaces to the right 1 space. If I want to make an even straighter line, I can go up 3 spaces and left 1 space. Okay? Now my second thing that I have to think about is I look at the symbol. I check my table. This is going to be a dotted line. It doesn't have the equal to symbol underneath. So I'm going to draw that line, but I'm going to draw it dotted, just like that. Okay? Let me erase these loops so we can see clearly. Okay, so now I have this dotted line. So now if I check my table, I also know that a less than means that I'm going to shade lower than the line. So there are two big sections here, all right? I've got this big blue section, right, that I've split up, or I have this big green section. So now if I look at both of those sections, I want to choose the section that is lower than the line. So if I look at this line, I notice that the blue section is actually lower. So I'm going to erase this green side. And then this is actually how I graph the inequality. I shaded it lower, and I dotted the line. Another way that you can try and figure out which section to shade is by testing a point. This is kind of like what we did in the activity. So let's look at this point right here, 0, 0. Okay, so if I've got 0, 0, what I can do, this is an x and this is a y, I can substitute that into my inequality. So if my inequality says y is less than negative 3x plus 1, I'm going to replace y with 0 from here. Less than negative 3 multiplied by, so this is the green 0, and this is the red 0 for the x, plus 1. So that means 0 is less than negative 3 multiplied by 0 is 0 plus 1, and then 0 is less than 1. Now I ask myself whether or not that is a true statement. Is 0 less than 1? If it is, then that is the side. This point is going to be included in my solution set. So all of this right here is going to be shaded. So those are two different methods of how you can figure out where you want to shade. Alright, let's look at example 2. Example 2 is actually the same numbers. So let's graph it quickly. Positive 1, down 3 to the right 1, down 3 to the right 1, up 3 left 1, up here. Now I check my symbol. Is this solid or dotted? It has the little equal to symbol, so that means that it's solid. So I'm going to draw a solid line all the way through that. Okay? And now I just need to figure out whether or not to shade higher or lower. Okay, so it is a greater than symbol, so intuitively I know I'm going to shade higher. But let me see, I'm going to check this same point, 0, 0. Alright? So, I got y is greater than or equal to negative 3x plus 1. And I'm going to test the point 0, 0. Let's do some color coding again. Let's call the x0 green and the y0 red. So this is the y0, greater than or equal to negative 3 multiplied by the green 0 for x, plus 1. So that's 0 greater than or equal to 0 plus 1. And 0 is greater than or equal to 1. Is it true that 0 is greater than or equal to 1? 0 is not greater than or equal to 1, so I know that this point is not included, meaning that this whole side is not the side that I want to shade. So the side that I want to shade is the opposite side. Okay, let's look at example 3. Now example 3 is one where you have to solve. It says negative 3x minus 2y less than negative 4. So I'm going to do the solving up here. So I'm going to add 3x and add 3x. So that's negative 2y is less than 3x subtract 4. Now I have to divide by a negative number. Since I divide by negative 2, that means my inequality switches. So this is no longer less than, it is now greater than. So now I got y is greater than negative 3 over 2x. Negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2. And I'm going to graph this. So positive 2 is my y-intercept. I go down 3 to the right 2, down 3 to the right 2. Now I have to figure out whether or not this is going to be solid or dotted. This means it's going to be a dotted line. So I'm going to do that really quickly. And then this is a greater than symbol, so I know I'm going to shade higher. I'm not going to test the point on this. You can continue to do that. But if I look at section A and section B, which section is higher? I know that section B is higher than the line, so that's what I'm going to shade. Okay? Let's move forward. Here's example 4, 5, and 6. So example 4 is another one that I have to solve. So I've got negative 3x plus 2y greater than or equal to 4. I can add 3x here, add 3x here. So that's 2y is greater than or equal to 3x plus 4. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. So notice here I divide by a positive number, so my inequality stays the same. Greater than or equal to 3 over 2x plus 2. So now I'm going to graph this line right here. So I've got positive 2, and I go up 3 to the right 2. I want to make the line super straight. I'm going to go down 3, left 2, down 3, left 2. Okay. This right here, I'm going to ask myself, is this solid or dotted? This is a solid line. I'm going to go ahead and graph that. And then I ask myself, if this is greater than, then do I shade higher or lower? I know I'm going to shade higher. So again, you can use this method as well. If you see section A and if you see section B, which section looks higher is this section A. Okay, let's look at example 5. Example 5 is already in slope-intercept form for us, so we can just immediately graph it. So I'm going to start with the -1 over here, and 2/3, so that means up 2 to the right 3, up 2 to the right 3, somewhere over here. I can also go down 2, left 3, down 2, left 3. Okay, I ask myself whether this is going to be a dotted line or a solid line. It does not have the equal to symbol, so it's going to be a dotted line. Okay, now this is a less than symbol. It's pointing to the left. It's less than, so that means I'm going to shade lower. So if I have two big sections that I've created, I have this big section A and I have this big section B, then A or B is lower, B is lower, so I'm going to shade all of section B. Okay, and then finally here's example 6. Notice that y is not alone here, so I do have to solve this one out. So -2x plus 3y less than or equal to 9. I'm going to add 2x, so that's 3y is less than or equal to 2x plus 9. Divide by 3 all across, so that's y. Notice it was a positive 3, so I keep the inequality the same, less than or equal to 2 over 3x plus 3. So now I graph this. I start at the positive 3. I go up 2 to the right 3. And also go down 2, left 3, down 2, left 3 to make a super straight line. Okay. So now, get rid of this. If you're looking at example 6, is this going to be a solid line or a dotted line? We should know by now that this will be a solid line. It has the equal to symbol. Okay, and then this is a less than or equal to, so that means that I'm going to shade lower. So I have two big sections here. I have section A and section B. So which section is lower? Section B is lower, so I'm going to shade all of section B. Okay, and that is the video and the notes for today. Please let me know if you have any questions.